Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to J Wall Sports. We are back here with another episode.
Another one. Hey, Pistol,
This,
our receiver, hit my line. Hit my line.
what is up with you in this? When you bench your seasoned veteran quarterback this late in the season, it's sending a message to the team.
Then goes out. And now they want to play with some heart. They want to play with some effort.
I see why Doc got fired. If you're not going to make the adjustments of the coach, you need to go up and get up out of here.
Wentz has regressed. And it's a mental.
Disclaimer. He might have some outrageous, Max Kellerman type, things to say today. I don't know what he's gonna say, but the way he's starting off his video, it is giving me them vibes. What's up, J Wall Sports fans? This your boy Lamar, and we are here back with another episode.
Another one.
As always, I'm here with my guy Nightshine Anderson. But you look a little fresher when you got your fresh cut.
You know I gotta get ready, man.
Boy, that fade over there, fading, boy. I see you.
Hey, fading like CP from the mid range, automatic.
Hey, CP fade is so ridiculous. It make your fade look normal.
That's a Ram, though. That's a Ram, so it's all good.
You already know, Ram pride. So we're going to kick things off with the Milwaukee Bucks, who tied the series up 2-2 with a 107-96 victory. Kyrie Irving went down with an ankle injury in the second quarter and would miss the remainder of the game. Kyrie did get x-rays done, and they came back negative. So that's good news. But he did leave the arena in a boot and crutches. Can the Nets win Game 5 without Kyrie?
I think it's a slim chance, man. This is really tough because KD's gonna have to carry the offensive load. But even then, the Nets haven't played the last two games, and Game 3 was decided on the last second shot, and Game 4 today was decided within less than 10 points. So even with them not playing at their best, it was still kind of like winnable game in a sense. But I don't think so, man. They're missing too much scoring. They're missing about 25 points each from Kyrie and James Harden. But their role players are going to have to step up. Joe Harris has not been shooting well this series. For them to have a chance, I believe, he's had to put up at least 20. But it's really gonna make it harder on Kevin Durant being probably the ball handler for the team, facilitating, getting everybody in rhythm. But at the same time, the defense is gonna be so locked into him, knowing he's gonna be the focal point for the offense. And Milwaukee's been playing really good defense these last two games at home, and I just don't think they can get it done without some help.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like you said, Game 3, it was a close game. They lost by 3, and Kyrie had 22, and they still lost by 3. So you're gonna need somebody to make up that 22 kind of point. And I would say Blake Griffin, but I sort of think he's hurt too because Steve Nash didn't play him in the second half of the third quarter and on. So I'm not sure what's going on with Blake Griffin, but I don't understand why he wouldn't play, and he's been playing the best defense on Giannis that we've seen all playoffs. First of all, he's big enough to where if Giannis hits him while he's driving, he doesn't move out of the way like a sheet of paper. And he can move laterally fast enough to keep up with Giannis. Personally, I think, it's got to come from Blake Griffin and Mike James. Now, Mike James, the EuroLeague player that came over, from the EuroLeague, technically he's a rookie, but he was very accomplished overseas. You know, just in 2018, 2019, he received the Alfonso Ford Trophy in the Euro, and while he's playing in the Euro League, which is awarded to the best scorer that year. So he can get it done. I looked at his numbers. The last 3-4 years, he's been around that 15 to 20 point range. You know, I think he's going to be the big difference maker for this team. And I'm not saying, you know, he needs to go put 30 on the board, but 15 from him, 15 from Blake Griffin, and you know the rest of the role players doing what they do. I think that will be able to make up, you know, for them missing Kyrie and you know some of James Harden.
Yeah, at the same time, they got to play well on both ends of the court, and that's been the issue with Brooklyn the whole season. We talked about, and then other media outlets talked about. You know, they're gonna outscore you, but are they gonna stop you? And
yeah, ISO gang ain't a thing if you by yourself.
ISO long league by myself.
Hey, you know what KD say, bro? They can't score him because he's 7 feet tall.
Yeah, but he can drop 50, and they still might lose.
I'm personally, if I'm the Bucks, I'm okay with him dropping 50. Look, man, you go ahead, drop 50. Mike James 0, Blake Griffin 12. Everybody else gonna be held to the minimum. But you know, KD, you know, go ahead, drop 50. I don't care.
But moving on to the other game tonight, the Phoenix Suns brought the broom. I'm sorry, brought the broom.
Hey, they brought the boom too. Now you ain't missed that much.
To the Denver Nuggets, I say seal things up with a victory and moving on to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2010. Nikola Jokic was ejected in the third quarter of the game, and that was the MVP, so it was really hard. How big would this rest be for the Suns? I said with the winner of the Jazz Clipper series.
Man, this rest is going to be extremely big, and I'm going to center this rest around Chris Paul. And the reason I'm circling this rest around Chris Paul is because he was banged up in the first round with that shoulder injury against the Lakers, and round 2 he played 144 total minutes. That's 36 a game at age 36. He's what makes this engine go. We saw how big of a difference it was when he was injured versus the Lakers versus when he was healthy. You know, so Chris Paul, you know, light practices until, you know, probably 2 days before, you know, whoever they're going to play, you know, and a bunch of stretching, a bunch of like, you know, massages, getting, you know, the muscles loose so he can continue this playoff run. But this, like I said, this rest is going to be extremely big. I'm not really worried about everybody else because everybody else, like what, 27, 29? They still young. I mean, Jay Crowder, he's going to need to get the same kind of rest as Chris Paul because he's up there a little, you know, not age, but like NBA age, you know?
Physically.
So, yeah, physically, yeah. So, those two, I'm really looking big on them to, you know, get that rest to, you know, drive this team to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, that was the first thing I was going to say about this. Because CP3, he left it all up there in the court tonight. Dropped 37, and he dropped a good 37, but he looked tired after the game, and I think that'd be a good rest. You know, like he is the leader of this team, so you want the leader of the team full health, ready to go. And I don't think it'll, like you said, moving forward with the Utah Clippers series, and they may shoot well. I mean, shoot poorly game 1, but the way they move the ball, like Utah, they move the ball really well on the offensive end, and given that CP3 is leader of the team, I don't think the scoring or the ball movement will be a little bit different. But they played a excellent 4 games against the Clippers. So I think the rest will kind of have an effect on the team as a whole.
You mean the Nuggets?
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
I said, oh, man. I had some 4 games against the Nuggets as a whole. So I think that rest is going to kind of start their momentum and the rhythm that they have built up, playing phenomenal basketball at the right time of the year, than just having to stop and wait on an opponent. I think it'll kind of slow them down in a sense. So it'll be interesting to see how they pick it back up for the Western Conference Finals.
I love your the point you so wellly stole from me about Rex, being a downfall to a team. But you gotta think
What
about
would
it.
you call it? The law? What? Even though you didn't say it was that the
No,
law of averages.
I didn't call that one was not the law of averages. I told you this
But
last episode. I don't count that one towards my law of averages because it's a gut feeling because like I said it against the Jazz because the Jazz have older players. A lot of their older players, make that engine work. I mean, you have Donovan Mitchell, you have Jordan Clarkson, and you have Rudy Gobert. Those are your young guys. But Bogdanovich, he's a little bit older. And some of I can't think of rest players off the top of my head, but some of the other players. Yeah, Connolly. He didn't play, but some of the other players that are older. It takes their engine, a quarter and a half, 3/4, maybe a whole game to get going. And like I called it, I was about 50% right because they was down 13 until Donovan Mitchell just went. He took his mind out of his head and just said, "Score the ball." That's exactly what he did. But this Suns team, they are young. You got to remember when you're young, you wake up and just start doing random things that 36-year-olds look at you and be like, man, I remember when I was your age, I used to be able to do this, I used to be able to do that. I think this Suns team is going to come out the gate, playing well, especially, Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. Those two, really going to get them going, and keep them afloat offensively until Chris Paul, Jay Crowder can come around, a quarter and a half, or a quarter and a half late. So that's why I don't count under law of averages because I also have to look at the team, their age. It's a lot of demographics that go into it. That's like not really averages, but just me looking at the team.
So that it uphold too. We don't talk.
I got you.
Moving on to tonight's games. The first game between the Hawks and the 76ers. 76ers up 2-1 in the series. Who's winning game 4 and why?
Man, this is very tough for me. But I'm gonna go with the 76ers. The Hawks, they didn't play bad in game 2, nor did they play bad in game 3. But if you watch the game, it looks like they're being dominated. The 76ers bench outscored the Hawks in both games. Joel Embiid, he's too much for Clint Capella. Ben Simmons had 18 points in the last game. So I'm thinking that's going to be, a trend going into game 4. Tobias Harris was scoring good too. When all three of them are scoring, it's very dangerous. And I also think the addition of putting Ben Simmons on Trae Young is not so affecting him, but it's making it a little bit more difficult because he's a little 6'10", can move laterally with him. If he drives to the basket, you got to get past that 7-foot wingspan after you're already in front of somebody that's 6'10". So I think that's causing some problems for him. And the others aren't really showing up like they showed up in the last series against the Knicks. And in game 1 against the Sixers. So I'm going to have to go with the Sixers winning game 4.
I'm going to have to agree with you, man. 76ers, going to put this game out. The Hawks, the first series, they looked really good, well against the Knicks. They didn't really look like a young team. They looked like an experienced team. But this series, you can tell that this is a young team without a lot of playoff experience. And you can see it in games 2 and 3 when they might have been down. And it was really hard for them to cut that margin, cut that deficit so they can have a chance towards the end of the game. And especially game 3, they trailed a good portion of the game. And it was really hard to close that deficit to have a chance to win. And having an injury loss to DeAndre Hunter for the rest of the season, that's another defender that you lose that can guard Ben Simmons. But personally, I think 76 is going to pull this series out. That playoff experience is really kicking in. The experienced team, a lot of older guys on the team, Dwight Howard, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Joel's been in the playoffs, Ben Simmons been in the playoffs. So these guys know how to get it done. And looking at the Hawks, a lot of guys, but I don't know, not a lot of playoff experience. And I think they maybe should throw up on the wall on the B, kind of slow him down from the inside and force that 76 team to take the outside shots. But not a lot of defenders. So
Right. I also think with the addition of the Hawks, not the Hawks, but the Sixers, they shot the ball very well. You know, Curry, he's starting to come alive in this playoff series. And they have, Courtmont. I think that's it. Yeah, Courtmont. He showed up big, and I think if you start to wall up on him, and you gotta remember Ben Simmons, he is not Giannis Antetokounmpo. He will pass the pigskin, and he will distribute that thing at an efficient rate. So
I'd rather have him pass it though than him get downhill, and it really makes it easier because he's also like Giannis. He doesn't have a jump shot, so if you kind of wall off and force him to take the mid-range shots, Ben Simmons is not forced to get downhill, and it makes it easier for him to be more aggressive because he's been really aggressive this season, getting down.
Right, but if you wall up and the point of walling up is to get other people to score the ball. So you want other people to score the ball, but how the Sixers can potentially shoot it at a high clip. If say Curry go 3 for 3 and then Courtmont go 3 for 4, 4 for 5, something like that, and as a team in the first half they're shooting 48% from 3, 50% from 3, or something like that. Now you can't wall up no more because you have to respect Ben Simmons' IQ, his ability to find a wide open shooter, and them shooting. So walling up is a great concept that I like that you brought up, but it only works if the shooters are not hitting, and that's why the Bucks went out and got so many shooters. So when teams wall up, he has comparable shooters to kick him out to, which is why we don't see teams walling up as much because you got to respect them shooters.
And never know till you try.
But, I mean, yeah, like I said,
we're gonna see.
Yeah, I love the fact that you brought it up because that's a great idea. It's just, I'm always thinking like 5 steps ahead.
Yeah. Risk reward kind of thing.
Yeah. So moving on to the last game, it would be the Jazz versus the Clippers. The Jazz dropped game 3, losing by 26 points. Paul George shined that day. As a playoff P may be back. We don't know. But the Jazz they will be hosting game 4 with a 2-1 lead. Will the Clippers tie things up, or will the Jazz take a 3-1 lead?
It's tough. I think the Clippers are going to pull this out because I'm not sure if Mike Conley's coming back for this game yet. And I think it's still taking a toll on Donovan Mitchell. They kind of figured out, all right, we're not going to let you beat us single-handedly. We're going to force other people to score 20. And they play really good defense on him. And of course, Donovan Mitchell. He's going to get his buckets. But they kind of slowed him down this last game, and they really got the ball moving on the offensive end. And Kawhi and PG played really good basketball. PG was killing it the first half. And Kawhi was like, all right, you did your part. Let me go ahead and get this mid-range game going. And that's another thing that's certified. One thing that's always going to happen. Death, taxes, and Kawhi hitting the mid-range shot. I promise
you. Yo.
I promise you. Hey, I bet you if you look on YouTube, if you look on YouTube, type in, you're going to have to start sharing your screen one day, boy. Kawhi in the mid-range. It's going to be like a 25-minute video of
25. That's too short. It's an hour. Think about it. He went automatic back then, but he been hitting his mid range at a pretty consistent rate to San Antonio.
A lot of buckets,
Hey,
a lot of
man.
burritos.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, man. That performance by Paul George, that's like almost like an anomaly. And not to speak bad on Paul George, but the way he's been playing in the playoffs these past 2 years, it's sort of been, like the Kawhi show, or Kawhi and the Clippers, and PG is just like, hi, I'm here, kind of thing.
Kind of like Porzingis. Oh, I'm a superstar too.
Right. So it's sort of like that, and then I think in game 2, after the lackluster performance, pandemic.
He didn't play that bad though in game 2. Game 2, he had 27, 10, and like 6. So he didn't even play that bad.
I do not recall that man having 27 points in game 2.
You can look it up. I promise you.
Cause I wouldn't have thought that bad of it if he had 27 points in game 2, and which he did.
Look it up right now.
I'm looking at it. He had 27 points in game 2, 27 and 10.
And
yeah.
6. He didn't play that bad.
Yeah. So good point. He didn't play that bad, but you know how the internet, Twitter, players look at Twitter just like we look at Twitter, so he was starting to see some of the pandemic P jokes come back. And
PG 13%.
Yeah, and he said, I'm about to dead that, and went stupid in game 3. I don't know, if playoff P is back. I wouldn't give him that name until he shows me for like a whole series that he's back. Or is it a fluke, man? But I don't know. But like, if Paul George is quote unquote playoff P now, I can give him, I can give the Clippers the edge. Reggie Jackson is another player that I'm very, very impressed with from game 7 with the Mavs and on. He's been really showing out. He's been playing like the Reggie Jackson that they thought they were getting last year. And it also makes them look good because they gave up they traded Lou Williams for Rondo. So that makes them look good.
Luke Kennard's been balling too.
Luke Kennard, he's been playing really well too. Kawhi, he's been there all playoff run. Markieff. No. Lakers have Keith. Lakers have Keith. We have the Clippers have Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris, he's been playing really well, good defense. So I don't know, because he's been playing some really good defense on Bogdanovich. So that's been really iffy. But I think game 3 was to wrap things up. I think game 3 was sort of like an outlier game. It hit the Jazz last second, and they really couldn't they adjusted to it, but they couldn't adjust to it so well. In game 3. And the Jazz, they can hit the 3 at a large clip. So that double teaming from that they were doing on Donovan Mitchell, I don't think it'll sustain in game 4, because not the Clippers, but the Jazz know it's coming and they know how to deal with it.
And even then, shoot, he had somebody on the ground. He threw that sham at him. I forgot who it was.
Oh no, man.
But he came out that double team, spent out, but he tried to reach.
Yeah.
That boy's special. That's all I'm gonna say.
He is, bro. Like the way he was finishing, I've seen some people float that long, but he consistently had to float that long because that was the only shot he was gonna get off. And he was just about hitting them every time.
But hey, like you said, playoffs is all about adjustments. So we'll see heading into game 4.
halftime adjustments, quarter adjustments, mid-quarter adjustments. It's all about adjustments. Who can adjust best on the fly? And I think that's the one thing that the Clippers have an edge on, a lot of these teams in the playoffs. They've showed that they can adjust very well. And remember how we talked earlier in the year about actually it wasn't early in the year, it was last season. When we talked about how Paul George went on All the Smoke and he said that they didn't make any adjustments and he believed that was the main downfall for the Clippers last year in the bubble. You see what now this year they're making adjustments and it's making Doc look a little bad. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, because I know it's off top of the dome, if you go back and look at the intro, and I strictly said, if you're not gonna make any changes or adjustments, you need to go up and get up out of there. I said it's in the intro when we were talking about Doc Rivers at that point. But yeah. So to wrap things up, I got the Jazz winning this game, and I got the Sixers winning the first game of the day.
76ers Clippers for me.
Hey man, we're gonna see as you guys can see, the race is very close between me and Nishan, as we are both picking very well for our NBA predictions. Right now, Nishan is 32-17. I am one game behind him at 31-18. I had a bad weekend and fell off a little. But it's all right. Like I said, law of averages will come back, and it's so true. You want to know why? Because my name is Lamar Anthony Wiley. Spells out law, so it's gotta be in favor of me.
Well, that's all we got for y'all today, folks. Not dealing with this man. Y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. It's gonna be somewhere up there.
Somewhere up there, man.
Hey, we out, because I'm not dealing with this man. We out.
Hey, we out.